All right, the internet is changing for the worse. So, what now? Well, that's what I want to talk about in this video. My name is Ilya, and I have a bit of a unique perspective, both as a content creator, a really big consumer of content, and someone who's been in marketing for about 12 years. Now, what do I mean when I say the internet is changing for the worse? Well, I have one example for you, and I think it kind of summarizes this whole thing in one very neat and quick example. So, there's a guy I follow, and he runs basically this channel called Abroad in Japan, and it's a guy in Japan, and he's been running this channel for, I want to say, 10 15 years. It's been a while, and recently he posted a response video because someone posted a video called "What is Happening to Japan?" And in that video, that unnamed person basically talked about how, she's seeing a lot more graffiti. She was showing videos of trash all over the place, and she's like, Japan is like, this is not the Japan I knew, and basically said a whole bunch of things. Basically, the typical "this country is going downhill" video. I'm sure you've seen thousands of those. And what happened is that, like, this isn't the only exposure the video got, right? She got 400,000 views on YouTube. That got chopped up into shorts, and then that got 40 million views. And of course, that negatively affects people's perception of Japan. And then Abroad in Japan went out and created a rebuttal video, because basically what she said is like kind of true, but it's limited to a very small area and like a touristy area as well. And it's the area people know has been like that forever, and it's had graffiti there since like the 1980s. Basically, it was a fear-mongering video. And that is basically the state of the entire YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all social media right now, right? Because the goal is to get as many views as possible. And that's a problem. Because the way you get the most views possible is often not really good for you as a creator and also all of the consumers of content. And this even prompted Abroad in Japan. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically, content creation and the whole direction it's heading in, it's kind of depressing. And I want to say it's not just content creation. I want to actually expand that to, I don't want to say the whole world, but a lot of things. And here's what I'm seeing. I've been in marketing for about 12 years, right? So I'm going to write a 12 here just so I can keep the TikTok brain entertained, right? 12 years. And in that time, I've been a freelancer pretty much that entire time. So I've worked with a lot of people, worked with a lot of different businesses, a lot of people who basically sell info products, online courses, e-commerce, physical products, some Shark Tank businesses. Like, I worked with a lot of businesses. And what I found is that I had to deliberately focus on not working with companies who were making the most money a lot of the time, because the companies that were making the most money often were selling stuff that wasn't really that good for you or that good for their consumer. And people who were in marketing and they only cared about the money or just seeing like, oh my God, my launch made $1 bazillion. They went to those companies and they made a lot of money. I'm not saying I didn't make good money. I made good money, but definitely not as much as I could have made if I worked for companies that would go against basically what I want to put out into the world. And I think that goes along with the content as well. Like, I want to create the content I want to see in the world, right? Be the change you want to see in the world. That is the message of today's video. And over those 12 years, right, I would say, if this is, I'm going to draw a little circle here, right? If these are all the companies that I've seen, I would say this small part right here, that is all the companies that are considered to be, I would say, a net positive. And then all of this, I would say a lot of this is companies that would be a net negative. And as an example, like, this doesn't just apply to like marketing companies. Who is the company that makes the most money per employee right now? If you don't know this, the answer is OnlyFans. And I know OnlyFans is God's gift to the world. It is wonderful. It's great, right? It's wonderful. And that is a company that makes, and not by a little bit. I think it's like they make like 23 million per employee, and the next closest is like millions away. It's insane, right? And I would argue that, the only company that could be worse than OnlyFans is maybe a company like DraftKings that enables people to gamble and, lose millions of dollars online in a very, very easy way. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, somewhere in the past 5, 10, 15 years, marketers have gotten very smart. And they kind of figured out that, what sells? What sells is emotion. And marketers always knew that, right? Emotion sells. Wonderful. But the problem is, marketers figured out that the emotions that get the most attention it's fear, right? It is anger. It's basically rage baiting. Those are the things, and this is beautiful handwriting, those are the things that get the most attention. So if you're a content creator and you want to get the most views, unless you're Mr. Beast and you have really crazy productions, but even then I would argue that a lot of the things Mr. Beast does aren't necessarily good for, his audience or the audience in general. That's a whole story for another day, right? But most content that is going to get a lot of views is going to focus on these. And I would add also, division as one of these. And I don't mean division as in you go to high school or college and you learn how to divide fractions, maybe middle school, probably middle school. I mean division is in dividing people into two separate groups, right? So we got this group 1 and we got this group 2, and group 1's going to get one video, right? I'm going to do it like this. So group 1 gets this video and group 2, obviously, gets a different video. And both videos talk about how bad the other group is, obviously, because what else could they talk about? And as a content creator, it's a very easy trap to fall into, because if you follow any sort of Twitch streamers, if you follow pretty much any niche on YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is, there's very few creators who stay out of drama consistently. There's always seems to be some sort of drama happening in the fitness space, in the personal development space, in the fashion space, in the book talk space even. There's always some sort of drama happening. And that's because drama drives engagement, it drives clicks, it drives views. No publicity is bad publicity. I think that is something that someone once told to the current sitting president of the United States of America. Right? There's no such thing as bad publicity. There's only publicity. And that seems to be true at this point. You could say the most vile, the most weird, the most inane take of all time. And you could stand behind it. And you can argue with tens of people, thousands of people, but there will be a certain group of people that they will see that take and they'll be like, hey, I agree with that. Or maybe the guy or the guy or the girl, they're very passionate, or they seem to believe what they're saying, so I'm going to join their side. Whatever it is, right? And I don't blame the creators necessarily for creating content that fits all of these things, because it's very hard to go against the incentives that are in front of you, especially if content creation is your livelihood, right? Like if you're making money from content and you see that, and you mostly get paid, for the reach of your videos, right? So basically for views. If you don't know how YouTubers are paid or most content creators are paid, it is basically views or I cannot write today, views/reach. So there's a metric called CPM. That's basically how much money they make per 1,000 impressions. That's all beautiful. So it's how much money they make per 1,000 impressions, right? And they can make this money from, ads. For some reason, I'm not writing well today. They can make this money from sponsors. But the whole idea is the same. You get paid more the more people you reach. And if you reach more people, when you create videos that are clickbaity, videos that have drama in them, videos that provoke certain emotions in people, you are incentivized to make more of these videos. YouTube shoves it in your face, right? Oh, this video was a 10 out of 10. It performed horribly. Maybe next time, try it a little bit better. Try it a little bit. Make something different. Make something unique. Make something new. Make something that will make people mad and it will click on it and they will be righteous and you will get views and you will make millions of dollars, right? That's very easy. And I understand it logically, but I also have this idea of that I'm kind of working with myself of creating content that I want to see in the world and just, I guess, doing things I want to see in the world, right? Crazy idea. Because I feel like change is not going to happen just randomly. The internet's not just going to one day randomly get better because we are literally fighting, and I do mean it in the literal way, fighting against billion-dollar companies whose entire goal is to get steal as much of our attention as possible. Right? Netflix said that their biggest competitor is sleep. It's when you go me. That is their biggest competitor. Facebook wants to get all of your attention. Instagram wants to get all your attention. Every platform wants your attention. TikTok wants to get all of your attention and all of your data so they can sell you more ads and make more money. And they have, thousands of psychologists and tech nerds and everyone whose entire goal in life is to get you and me to spend more time on their godforsaken apps. And I don't think social media in general, like YouTube in general or TikTok in general, aren't horrible platforms. But I think we as consumers, we have to be deliberate about what we allow into our brains and into our minds. And I actually did this very recently, both on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. There's one thing that all of these platforms allow you to do that no one seems to use. And that is you can say, not interested in content. You can tell YouTube, please don't ever show this to me ever again. So I'm going to do something risky. I'm going to show you my homepage. It's probably going to be mostly van life. Let's see. Yeah, so a lot of van life. We got some gaming videos. We got some business videos. But basically what you can do is if, for example, I decide that I don't want to watch this video. I do want to watch that video, actually. That is one of my guilty pleasure videos. Let me find one. A lot of these are actually stuff that I would want to have on my feed. There's not that many things. Okay, I don't care about Minecraft. I want less gaming videos. So I would click on this, and I would say either not interested or don't recommend channel. In this case, I'm just going to say not interested because I don't want to see Minecraft. Video removed. And what's going to happen is you're going to see less and less of these types of videos. And I did this for TikTok, where a lot of the videos I was seeing for a while was rage bait. I did this for Instagram. Same thing. I'm doing this for YouTube. And I'm trying to curate my feed towards my interests, which right now, as you can see, there's a lot of van life in there. There's some business in there. There's some woodworking in there. There's some Casey Neistat in there from 8 years ago. Wow. So that's what I'm trying to do. And as a consumer of content, I think that's what we have to do. Because otherwise, we're just at the mercy of whatever the platform gives us. And usually what the platform gives us is, let me write this in big, bold, thick letters. The platform gives us slop. Sloppy slop. That is what the platforms give us. And so we have to basically fight back against this slop. And then as content creators, I don't have a good solution for it, because I understand that if your livelihood depends on this, I can't in good conscience tell you to be like, you know what, just don't make money. Yeah, just cut your paycheck in like by 75% or 80%. I can't really in good conscience tell you that because, well, I mean, one, no one's going to do it. But I do want to kind of push this idea of at least trying to create more content and experimenting with content that you do want to see in the world that isn't just hyper edited, hyper clickbaity, hyper engaging stuff and stuff that you may want to create as an artist. Maybe you do something like this. Maybe you do, let's say, if you create, let's say 4 videos, right? Maybe 1, 2, and 3, they're their standard stuff. The video number 4, maybe that is the video you create for yourself. Maybe that is the video you create that actually maybe isn't for the video created with the goal of, view maxing. Maybe it's just the video that you create because you want to see more of that content in the world. And that is what I want to try to do here. That is kind of my goal to create content and to talk about things and discuss things and just go over things that I think actually bring value to the world, because I think we need, sadly, I think we need a lot more of that. And I don't expect this video or just this channel in general to be huge. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't expect this video to blow up. That doesn't make any sense. But I do think that it doesn't take, it takes fewer people to start making change that you might think. Because you can start by changing your life, right? It's a series of concentric circles. You start by changing your life. That's okay. That just affects one person. But then maybe that starts changing the lives of the people around you, right? Maybe that affects your family and maybe some of your friends. And then maybe that ripple effect keeps going outwards and it keeps going outwards. And eventually we do start seeing more changes happening. But that change is not going to start from the outside in, right? The companies, Meta, all of these big companies, even YouTube, they're not going to be like, you know what we need to do? We should cut our income by half. And we should try to get people to spend less time on our platform. That's not going to happen, right? And we should try to get them to watch content that makes them more likely to maybe leave. That's not going to happen. So the change has to start with you, with us, with me. That's what I'm trying to do. And I think one last thing as well is, especially, looking at this example. And with AI, the AI video coming out, is to be more skeptical of the things you see and hear online and in general, and to try to be a little bit more careful about where your sources. Because I think there's a lot of things, especially the past 5 years, there's been more and more things where what people say may not necessarily be true. What people think may not necessarily be true. People believe may not necessarily be true. And I just want to give one more example before ending this video. And that is an example that I discovered last summer. I was traveling. I was pet sitting in different cities. And I basically got to visit quite a lot of the Pacific Northwest in America. And that includes California, Oregon, and Washington. And that includes San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. And if you know anything about those cities, and if you've seen anything about those cities online, it's probably negative, right? If you picture those cities in your mind, right, you might see, homeless, scavenging on the street, drugs and needles everywhere, poop on the sidewalks, and you can't walk without getting, stabbed or harassed by a homeless person, and it's just horrible. And there is some truth to that, in that a lot of these cities, they do have a problem, a homeless problem, a drug problem, a problem with I would say, the management of the cities. These cities do have that. But I got to experience all of those cities for at least a month for most of them. And that problem is usually concentrated in a very small part of that city, or maybe certain parts of the city, depending on the city, right? And the rest of the city is thriving. Like, I would say that those 3 cities are actually some of the most beautiful cities in America, if you cut out certain parts of the city. And those certain parts aren't always that big. It's just because we see those things over and over and over and over online that we start perceiving those cities as being really, really bad. Even I lived in Oakland for a summer. And Oakland, I would say, is a lot worse homeless-wise than San Francisco. A lot worse. And there was definitely a lot of homelessness. Even literally next block over from my apartment was a whole row of basically tents. But on the other side of Oakland, or as I got closer to my work, it slowly turned into a beautiful city. People went to farmer markets. There were beautiful restaurants. Yes, maybe there were a little bit of few homeless here and there, but it wasn't anything as insane as the media portrays it. And if you follow any of the social media creators or Twitch streamers, a lot of the things that get highlighted, like, oh my God, there's this crazy thing happening in this US city right now, or this US city, or this place. Sometimes it is big. A lot of times, that's just something that is reserved, or not reserved, that is something that is just locked down to a couple of blocks in a city of thousands upon thousands of cities, of streets and blocks and areas. That's like going to New York and being like, oh my God, New York is, whatever it is, horrible, filthy, great, amazing. And all you visited it's like, oh my God, New York has so much nature. And all you did was visit a small part of, the Central Park. Or it's like, oh my God, New York is whatever it is. So that is just something to keep in mind, because I fall for this as well. I definitely fall for this, and it's something that I'm trying to unlearn, because it takes advantage of our psychology. It takes advantage of how our brains work. It takes advantage of literally the most primal parts of our brains that are responsible for safety. You see something horrible on your phone and you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. I need to watch this, because what if I need to avoid this? Or what if this happens to me? Or whatever it is. And I'm going to end this video on that. If you watch to the end, let me know what you think. Let me know what you're going to do. I don't know if anyone's going to watch till the end. We will see. This is just going to be a little experiment, because this is a bit of a different style of video, if you will, right? This is a very different style of video. This is not a typical YouTube video. This is done basically in one take. No flashy edits, nothing crazy. We will see how it does. For now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.